What's up guys, Triple C here. With the Doomsday Heist DLC we got a bunch of new stuff, and we also got a new supercar that's been released. It's the Übermacht SC-21, and we're going to do the stunt test with it to determine whether it's a good car and worth buying in terms of stunt racing or not. Now remember, this is only pertaining to stunt racing. If you want to see somebody talk about the actual racing performance of the car, I would recommend check out Grotti. He knows exactly what he's talking about there, does the most accurate testing in the game. Don't check out the guys that drive it on a straight line at the airport, because all those people have no clue what they're talking about. Straight line racing performance is not very important in racing. It's much more the handling, the traction it has in corners, the braking points, how the brakes are, stuff like that. You know, that's much more important than straight line speed. So this is going to just be about the stunts. We're going to test it on a set criteria of stunts like we did with all the other cars, so we have a direct comparison and see how it performs on these stunts and if it's worth buying in terms of stunt racing or not. So let's jump right into it. Right, so first up, we're going to do the regular wall ride like we always do. And again, this is not about whether it can wall ride or not, because every vehicle in the game can wall ride. You just need enough speed for it. We're actually looking out for other stuff in here. For example, how it reacts to the dummy proof is going to be very important. The containers which will guide the car into the wall ride. And also how the camera reacts if it will zoom in on the back of the car, which is an indicator that we will lose the camera view on stuff where it goes upside down over its head. So also this is a bit, the feeling, how it feels on the wall is always subjective, because everybody has their own preferences in that regard. But still, we got a pretty good indicator from this test. So let's see dummy proof was horrible. It jumped up the container. So yeah, I can tell you right off the bat, this car does not want to get guided by containers, which is actually very bad for stunt racing, because every decent proper stunt race will involve dummy proofing. Take a look when I hit the container in the second lap, how it will jump up the container. Also, this is a two-wheel drive car, which is not very promising, unfortunately. We've had a lot of bad experiences with the two-wheel drive cars. Basically what we've consistently seen was actually a tiny bit better on the dummy proof there. I gotta say, it does feel very steady on the wall, so it's very easy to hold the line. That's a subjective thing always. Everybody has their favorite cars in that regard, but it's very surprising how easy it was to hold the line. You know, even though I've got a very strong suspicion that this car will not do very well in a lot of the tests. But then again, if you're just going to use it on a wall ride and you can hold your line easy with it, it might be your go-to car for wall riding, you know? You don't know. So let's jump into the next test. Alright, so next up we got the steep ascending wall ride, and here we might have some issues with the rear wheel drive, which is always an issue on stuff like this. Steep ascending stuff, you want to have four-wheel drive, so all four wheels help get the car up there to maintain that power, that torque, you know. But let's see how it does. And that's the point where you get slow in two-wheel drive cars, but it's actually not doing too bad. But yeah, we're using a camera. Okay, I was just guessing where I was. It did surprisingly good in terms of the power it maintained getting up there, but as expected, we lost our camera, which is a problem on low cars and also when the cars lose their speed, basically. So yeah, the top cars here will go up there much quicker. T20s, internal, Osiris, stuff like that will go up there much quicker. Also something like the Wagner, which is an absolute beast on the track with its two-wheel drive, does not perform as well as the four-wheel drive cars. So it's a general rule of thumb. Whether it's like old props like this, you can draw a direct analogy to the cunning stunt props. Especially with the cunning stunt props, you're working so much with these big props and these tubes and everything. You're always going uphill, and that's when you want four-wheel drive, when you're going uphill. So yeah, definitely I would say not recommended on a stunt like this. There's much better cars. So third one, we're going to go into spiral into overhead wall ride, spiral down into another wall ride. And I just want to shoot off early in this one to quickly say something that I noticed racing this car. It's actually very easy to control and very hard to slide out in the corners, you know. But what this is due to is the lack of speed it's got. I already see it's a very slow car. And it probably also won't do good in lap racing. It doesn't seem very competitive in that regard. So it's basically an easy to control car, but the backdrop to that is that the reason why it's easy to control is because it's such a wimp, basically, because it's not good acceleration. Traction seems pretty well, but that's only because it's so slow. But yeah, here we go. So we're probably gonna lose our view like we saw on the other steep ascending wall ride. Let's take this baby through this here. Yeah, it's slow. I know this one, so I'm anticipating where to go. Yeah, we got around it, but like other cars, Zentorno, T20, Osiris, for example, they will not lose their view. Also, where we're landing, other cars land back here, the quick cars. So yeah, all in all, it went around it. Not surprisingly, every car goes around it, but the thing is you want to be able to see when you go around it. So a fail on this one, unfortunately. Alright, next up we got a King JMK loop, aka Rubio loop. This is just a quick special, a quick extra. Because actually every car in the game made this, every supercar, except the X80 Proto didn't make it. So, won't be too surprising if this car also makes it. Will it connect to the wall? Yeah, it connects. Okay, we're good. I didn't hit the loop dead straight, that's why I didn't go in the landing zone there. But yeah, no big surprise here. It connected to the wall going down. We can run it one more time. Oops, pretty close to the wall. Yeah, here we go. We just connected. We're losing a lot of speed here. But yeah, no big surprise, like expected, like every other supercar in the game, it also made this. So yeah, let's go on to the next test. Okay, next test we got the red container spiral, and I want to quickly say something before we go into the test, because some people might not really be aware of this. This is actually one of the most telling tests we're doing in the stunt test, because everything I'm doing in here, again, you can draw a direct analogy to cunning stunt props, you know? Whether it be a red container spiral, like in this test here, or if you're gonna do the same stuff in a tube or cunning stunt prop, it's the same thing, you know? So, basically, this is one of the most important tests. We're gonna see how it gets up the spiral when we start directly in front of the spiral with a low acceleration, or low speed basically, and see how the acceleration does going up there. Wait, let's turn off the stunt cam. And if it then builds up acceleration going up there, or if it struggles. And that's basically a thing. The two-wheel drive cars, rear-wheel drive cars, they struggle. They do not build up that power to go up there like the four-wheel drive cars. Second thing we're going to be testing is when I'm going down, on my way down, I'm going to yank the steering very hard to see how easy the car spins out, or if it maintains traction. But yeah, let's take it in there with it at low speed, basically right in front of the spiral, and see how it gets up there. It's not building up speed. I just barely made it, man. It was a struggle getting up there. So yeah, right off the bat, as expected with the two-wheel drive car, which is also very slow on the street, it of course didn't do very well. Now let's see how it does with the low speed. If I yank the steering, I'm going to fall out the spiral now. Once I'm upside down, I'm going to yank the steering to the left to see if the car spins out, or if it just will maintain traction and just go to the left where I tell it to go. So let's go. I'm going to yank the steering now. No, it did. Yeah, it went into the spin immediately. It's hard to see. This is hard to see. I feel it on the controller, like what my input is and what the car is doing. It didn't spin as much as many of the other vehicles, and that's probably attributed to it being such a slow car also. But it did go into that spin, which is also always a problem you have with the two-wheel drive cars, because they will just break out easily. But yeah, anyways, fail on this one actually. It got around it like a clown van would also get around it basically in the end, but just not even close in the range of the top cars, which like Osiris and Torno, for example, which just go up there like it's nothing for them. So definitely not recommended on uphill, going steep ascending slopes, stuff like that. Also for cutting stunt props, there's much quicker cars for that. Alright, next up we're going to see if this car can crab slide. There's three types of cars. The car that will stay on its side, like the Infernus, the Adder, the Tempesta, for example. It's great, you can work with that, build a nice stunt. There's cars that roll over on their roof, like Osiris, T20, Zentorno, for example. Also great, you can also work with that. And there's cars that go back on their wheels, and that sucks because you can't do anything with it. Then you can say it doesn't crab slide, but let's go. I wanted to go on its wheels. It just barely stayed there. And we're gonna, yeah, drop on our wheels. So yeah, fail on this one. It didn't crab slide. You can't really build anything with these types of stunts with this car. So yeah, fail on this one. Alright guys, final test, Freaky League's Huge Loop Racing number 3. This is make or break, even though I gotta say, like, we didn't have one situation yet, one stunt where it did better than any of the good cars. So up to now it's a very weak performance and not recommended for any type of stunt so far. But this is also, this loop is just so huge that only a couple of cars in the game can actually make it and get around it. It's our good old Osiris T20 Zentorno trifecta there again, like our go-to supercars from back in the day. Then with all the new cars that have been added, the XA-21 also makes this loop, the X80 PROTO makes this loop, the Tempesta also made it, and surprisingly the Penetrator also got around this loop here. I don't have very high hopes for this car because already just feeling it on the track, it is so slow. It'd be kind of interesting to see Broffi's conclusion, like what ranking it will get on his testing track there. Because right now it's Wednesday early, he's also not uploaded his video yet. I'm probably going to upload this on Thursday because I still got race day Wednesday today after I'm finished testing this. But I predict already with my unqualified opinion that it's going to also do terrible in Broffi's test. So all in all, it's just not a very promising car. Like, I'm taking this in advance already before we're even doing the test, just on the basis of all the other tests that we did. Also, I'm not even going to start testing flips with this car, how it flips, because it can't take the dummy proof, and it's actually pointless in trying to test the car how it flips if it can't even take the dummy proof. You know, it just doesn't make any sense. So, wait, let's see, I'll quickly speed this up until we're at the loop. Yep, alright, nice. So, but anyways, I was gonna do that anyways, like I do with all the cars. I'm taking it from the respawn, so everybody gets the same shot at it, basically. Everybody's going from exactly the same point. So let's go and take it up there and see if we maintain the traction and connect to the loop all the way through, or if we fall off. Let's go, here we go, big loop racing. Oh, I already feel it's getting slow. It's gonna fall now already. Yeah, it's falling now already. Okay, this is one of the worst cars ever. Like, a lot of the other cars even at least try to get a bit higher. I mean, this one doesn't even try. It'll go off in the first quarter already, so... Yeah, as expected, very, very weak here. It's never gonna get around this. There's no way. So all in all, it basically, every stunt I did, I would never recommend this car. There's other cars that are much better for this. In terms of like how expensive was it, I forgot. I think I just paid 1.6 million for this car, plus all the upgrades. So you're easily up to 2 million for nothing, basically. You know, they're just in for the shark cards. You know, people will just buy the car because it looks good, or because they're watching the wrong guys on YouTube that don't know what they're testing, basically. So yeah, I can't imagine one situation now. We could try it on a wall ride because it does seem very steady. There might be a small niche for that, for those wall riders, you know, like the 811, for example. It's also a car you'd never use in a racing situation because it's just got so horrible traction. But if you get it on a wall, if you get up there, if you go in there with enough speed, it's actually a gem because it's just so steady on the wall. We might have a similar situation with this car. Shall we try it? Yeah, come on, let's go. Let's take it on a hard wall ride and see how it does. Alright, so this is a very old race of Tech Robbins, back when he was still in the game. Just straight up barge wall riding all the time. So let's just see how it is. And remember, like, I'm not used to this car yet. Like, I've only driven it very briefly on that container wall ride we did in the beginning of the stunt test. So it does always I need to get up there. That's already the first problem that you... shoot. That's already the first problem, that it just would... Like with the 811, you need speed going in there. Like, I'd probably better back up a bit. If you don't have the speed going in there, then you will just struggle to get that traction and get the car to go up where you want it to be. does react a bit more sensitive to the steering input than I expected. But yeah, actually, you just gotta get used to it, you know, like my go-to car is the Entity, obviously, as probably most of you guys might know for hard wall rides. But yeah, definitely, like, second try, and I'm just rocking this already, like, very easy to get used to. It is a very steady car, and I could definitely see myself doing single line container wall rides with this too. Just one disclaimer: you need the speed to get in the wall. If the respawn is very close to the wall, you will have issues, and building up that initial traction that's needed to get the car up to speed. So that's going to be an issue if the respawn is far enough away. I can really see this being a niche for the car. Like, this is the only positive thing that I can say about it, that it does hold its line. Oh, well, no, I lost it. Okay, but yeah. Anyways, as you saw, like, never really wall ridden this car before, and it just went around easily. So this is actually, like I said, it's very easy and steady to hold the line. This might be the niche for the car. In terms of anything else we did, every other stunt, forget it. Just take your go-to cars. They do much better on it than this car here. Definitely not worth your money, except if you're a wall rider and you want to take it up on some walls and see how it does. Otherwise, save the money for better stuff that might still come out. So yeah, hope I could help you guys out and you guys enjoyed it. Help you make your decision on whether to buy this or not. Check out Grotti for his lap racing test to get a full picture, because this is only concerning stunts. So yeah, check you guys in the next video, and I'm out. Peace!